Welcome back to another episode of Lotus Tea Talk, where we shed our unique light on current events, blooming conversations, and elevating tea talk. I am your hostess, Arata Ma'at.
And I am your hostess, Chinya Ani.
And now
Let's
sip
sip
this
this
tea.
tea.
Boop.
Yes.
Yes. As you all see, we are missing our third leg, our dear sister Aziza Effie.
Shout out to Aziza, who is vacationing in freaking Mexico right now with her
Come
little
through.
boo thing.
Right,
Like,
get
oh
some
my
sun,
goodness.
Felipe.
I'm saying get a tan or whatever.
Or whatever. But we are definitely not going to hold back with the same energy and great topics for you all.
Yes.
So
We are very excited.
yes. But before we get into it, boo, we got to check in.
We have to check
We
in.
have to check
We
in
have
with
to
our
check
sister
in.
friends with our Blossom Water and Weed segment, which is a segment we like to do where we check in with each other, basically. We have the areas of our lives in which we're blossoming, thriving, and that we want to shed some light on. And then we have the areas in our lives that may need a little bit more water, a little bit more attention, a little bit more work. And then we have those areas that we know just got to go. They needed to be weeded out.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I'll take it away.
Okay, boo.
I'll take it away. So, blossom, what is the area of my life that is blossoming? I would say just like honing in on what like my femininity means to me, and really like taking ownership in that and just defining what like my self-care routine is going to be because I think we focus so much on like external beauty, which I love. I love the makeup. I love the skincare. I love the hair.
Right.
But also, what are you telling yourself when you're doing those things? So now like when I do my makeup, I'll be like, you're so pretty. You're so beautiful. You're kind of so confident. Like, so just making everything so mindful, right? And even when I'm washing it off, you're still beautiful, you're still pretty, and really doing that mirror work where I'm just, loving what I'm seeing at any time because that's so important. So that's really been blossoming for me, and I love it here for that. And watering, what have I been watering? I feel like I'm watering just like I mentioned a little bit off camera, just being able to say no. Was that my last blossom for the last episode? But we're still blossoming in that avenue. Being able to say no, watering. We're still watering that area because I tend to have a little people pleaser, or I used to be. I would say maybe a people pleaser, but now I am not being a people pleaser anymore. I am pleasing myself and serving people. You know what I'm saying? So I like to put it like that. So if it's overflowing, let's let it overflow. But if my cup is just full and all it's gonna be is full, we're not gonna pour the cup out to deplete myself to give to others.
Absolutely.
And being okay with that and not feeling guilty about that.
That part.
The goal is not to be nice; it's to be kind. I think that's a big thing. So
I taught her.
yes,
There is a difference between niceness and kindness.
Yes, there is a difference.
Yeah, if y'all go look up some definitions, you'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. So, yes, and then we are weeding. Oh, I was going to say watering, so fitness. But so I guess weeding, just unhealthy habits in general, just trying to because sometimes I think that I've fallen to in the past is like that toxic diet culture where I'll do, just like these quick fix diets. I'm trying to just make sure, especially because we already have really healthy lifestyles in general, but trying to be even healthier, right? Especially in a society where it's just so unhealthy right now can be a very big challenge. But so just weeding out those unhealthy habits, weeding out that fried food, weeding out all that carbohydrates, and all those things. I've just been trying to do that and just everything in moderation, right? So I'm an African, so we are rice lovers. So I'm just weeding that rice out, but
it keeps you thick.
That rice keep you thick. So that's what I would say is my blossom water and weed. What about you, my beautiful sister?
Well, areas in my life that I feel like I'm blossoming are the opportunities, the financial opportunities that are just pouring in,
Yes, let them pour.
We are receiving them. I am blossoming in the space of receiving and being able to manifest the things that I truly desire, and not feeling bad about that. So, big ups to me and my boo daddy for our manifestation skills.
Yes.
And then what would I say that I am working on watering in my life? I would say my creativity. Surprise, surprise. Yes, indeed, actually. I gotta sing more, y'all. I have to sing more, and I have to put more of my creative content of me dancing and singing out for the people more so. I sing all day long, ultimately. I'm not gonna say that I don't sing, but I'm not necessarily putting the intentionality behind it, working on my vocal exercises. I'm not making sure that I'm drinking my teas properly, not smoking as... I'm smoking more than I should
get
be
you
as
some
a singer.
gigs.
Exactly, like Chi be doing it. She be doing it. Thank you, Cuzzo. So yeah, like I do have a beautiful voice. It is a wonderful gift that I was given, and I know gifts will be taken away if they're not used, and specifically shared. Because what is the purpose of a gift if you are not to share it with others? The Most High, I don't believe, gave us these wonderful gifts to just keep to ourselves. If we did, then I don't get it, but.
No, seriously.
Yeah, so like definitely making sure that I'm recording myself while I'm singing, intentionally putting these pieces together, writing my music, recording my music, and putting it out there for the people to experience, whether or not it's perfect or not, because that's one of the main things that I get held up on is the bits and pieces that go into making something the perfect production, if you will. And so if I feel like one of those pieces are not in place, then I'm not gonna do it, because I'm not putting anything half-ass out, right? But oftentimes that perfectionist syndrome keeps you from actually being productive. So don't allow my perfectionism to get in the way of productivity is what I would say I'm working on watering. For sure, in my creative life. And then what I need to weed out would be, last week I said I needed to be less judgy. Which is probably still a very true statement. And also, I would say weeding out idle smoking.
Okay, I like that.
Or smoking out of habit, habitual smoking. So, what that means is not waking and baking, not lunching and baking, not when I get home and baking, and then not like right before bed and baking. That's like 4 to 5 times that I be baked out the day, which has become just a habit ultimately. And whether I'm doing a full spliff, or if it's just a bowl hit, ultimately it's like, why am I doing it? Do I have too much idle time? And because that's when I started doing it, when I had, just free time. And so that's cool. I personally definitely support recreational smoking, the usage of, excuse me, I don't think smoking is good for anybody, so let me take that back. Rewind. Smoking has some serious effects on the body that are not beneficial. However,
but
the
cannabis is
right, I was about to say, the herb
against.
itself is not what I'm against. Definitely the usage of the herb in whichever way you feel benefits you, 100%. I just know for me personally, I am more productive when I am not looking to, when is the next time I'm going to smoke, as opposed to, I'm doing this, that, and the third. I haven't smoked all day.
Right.
Like, those are the most productive days when I'm literally just going. Right. And then I realize, I literally haven't smoked all day. The days when I realize I've smoked like 5 times a day, it's like, you were not on your shit today. You were not doing what you needed to do. So the idle smoking is or the smoking out of habit. Yeah. Right. So that's what needs to get the fuck out. That's what I'm weeding out, is the excessive usage of weed.
That's funny. I'm the opposite smoker. I'm a social smoker. Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. No, I still socially smoke. I will.
We gonna get high.
Stop. We gonna do it.
Sorry, kids. Don't
for the longest, I actually would not smoke by myself, because I thought that was weird and depressing.
That's like people giving pothead.
Exactly. And I was so anti. I was like, I'm never gonna smoke by myself. That's so weird. People that do drugs alone are just like, depressed and sad. So weird and judgy. See, I was a real judgy, weird little person, and I'm growing out of that. But I definitely know for me personally, that's something I can work on, just cutting out the excessive amounts of it. For sure.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. So let's get up into this.
Let's get into it. Okay. So with that being said, today we are talking about energy budget. So what do we mean? We're going to define what energy is. Energy is the capacity of doing work, kinetic or potential or transitional energy, right? And then we have energy, because it's such a taboo thing right now. Energy. Oh my God, your vibes, your energy, your chi, right? So then you have your chi, which is your life power,
right,
your interpersonal, non-physical force. So that's so that's like your vibration, your your frequency, that people get, that runs through you. So we love that. Some people like to define that as like the God within you, the spirit within you. I think I come from a place where I kind of feel like all of those are kind of interchangeable, So, so we'll start it there. And I think Arata and I agree. So we could just get into the first thing of like, how do you create like your positive energy? How do you create, like, how do you mindfully create your energy?
Yeah, that's definitely a good question, because in the definition of energy, you can't forget the actual physics definition or scientific definition, and the law of physics in which energy is not created or destroyed. So when you ask how do you, it's only transferable, exactly. So when it's like, how do you create that energy, it's more so how do you amplify the positive energy that's within you, or how do you transfer the positive energy that's vibrating from another source, into yourself, or vice versa, because that is all energy can be. Exactly. It is never destroyed or created, right? And so the positive things, I feel like when you're dealing like on the non-physical aspect of energy, that definitely deals with your mental state of being. So like you said, in making sure that you're feeding yourself positive things mentally. So how you speak to yourself give you the good energy that is already there, amplifies the good energy that is already there. The music that you listen to, are they cursing and talking about degrading women constantly, or are they speaking about how you're a goddess, how you manifest all that you desire in life? Or is it just a beautiful love song, or is it an instrumental? Like, what is it that you're actually absorbing energetically? Because when you really break it down, everything literally is vibrating at a frequency one frequency or another. So even this table is vibrating. It's vibrating so fast to the point that, so slowly to the point where it's at a state of a solid, but ultimately everything is comprised of energy. And so when you get that, you understand that everything has a frequency, and then when you are vibrating on the same frequency of that being or that thing, then you're able to line yourself up with that and then really transfer and vibe on that way. Excuse me, I know people use the word vibe and energy and all of this interchangeably, and they are interchangeable at the same time, but when you really understand what you're talking about, then you can have a more intellectual conversation about it.
That is deeper.
Much deeper conversation, and then just the way that you interact with life in general is going to be more intentional.
And more intention. It's all about intention.
For me, yoga. Yoga is 100% the way that I get maintain my positive energy. It's not even a get, it's a maintenance thing. In the new day, I realized, from day one, I realized that yoga was everything. In my teaching growing up, my mom would take us, literally when I was like 7 years old, she was taking us to yoga classes.
Really is everything. I want to be more intentional about my yoga practice, but yoga is healing,
and most people think of yoga as just stretching and breathing and meditating, and yes, that is a part of it. At the same time, though, yoga, when you break down the word, it means to yoke, it means to bring together. And when you find the deeper sources of where yoga came from, it means the union of your upper and your lower self ultimately. And so your higher self, your spirit being, your soul, your true being, your closest connection to the spirit or your creative source. And then your lower self, this physical being that we're in, this 3D reality that we're in, all of the urges and desires and carnal cravings that we currently have. Not saying that they're bad, that is just a lower frequency. When you realize that you can bring those together and then you vibrate and you ascend to that higher frequency.
Tell them about it. We vibrating
everything
high.
we vibrated high, y'all. And that's when you hear people talking about higher vibrations. You're ultimately just allowing your natural energy from within to vibrate on a higher frequency.
Exactly.
And doing things such as yoga, doing things that are mindful. It's the intentionality.
Yes, the intentionality.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
When you understand what yoga is, you realize that it's basically intentionality.
Yep.
There is the intention of you breathing because you know this breath is cleansing, and you know this breath is healing, and you know this breath is allowing you to do this posture that you need to hold for however long. And then you also understand that when you do this posture, it's going to allow your mind to clear. It's going to clear different chakras, which are energy centers. If you're not aware of that, we are huge energetic beings. So to have this conversation in like a 30-minute segment is very, very difficult. And I definitely invite you all to do your own research on what energy really is in relationships to humans and just mammals or physical beings here in this here plane. Because, the non-physical aspect of it can get real deep, and we don't have all that time today.
Right.
But like the physical, what you do, girl? What you be doing?
Well, before I get into the physical, I did want to also note, just for people, because a lot of, because there's like a streamline of like energy, what is it? Chi, da-da-da. But that's the same thing, just to put it like in a God reference of like, okay, you're all coming together to go to church on Sunday, right? So y'all are bringing that energy together. Yep. Y'all are harnessing this positive energy together, ultimately to elevate yourself to a more godly place, to a higher place. It's all that same thing of just wanting to take your positive, connect it, and uplift it. Yeah. So that's why I think like people like to come together to pray or come together to meditate, because then we can all harness that energy together. Like that's very real, and it's very true. And whether it be like, okay, you want to pray 5 times a day like a Muslim, or you want to go to church on your Sundays like a Christian, or you want to meditate and practice your spiritual practice, or you want to do them all, you know what I'm saying? The more the merrier. It's all about being intentional about your spirituality, about your energy, about your chi. So I like that. I love that. We'll leave that there. And we'll get into this physical and what I like to do to renew my energy on a physical playing field is definitely like making sure I'm working out consistently. Like, I may not go to the gym every day. I might even miss a whole week, but I know I'm being mindful, right? Like I know I need to get to the gym, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to my meditation. It's the same thing when it comes to my prayer. It's the same thing when it comes to my self-care. Like I know that it's something that I have to fuel. Just like unconsciously, we know we have to eat every day, right? Because we got to eat to stay alive. It's like a similar premise. I know that I have to feed into my mindset and my positivity to stay elevated. Especially, I always come back to this society because capitalism feeds off of low vibrational frequency. So it's marketable to have you always wanting something outside of yourself to elevate yourself. It's marketable to have people that don't feel whole, that don't feel energized, you know what I'm saying? That's just basically it, because then they can feed you pharmaceutics that can, try to substitute those feelings. So you just have to make sure of it, especially, and definitely different, if you work in different industries like me, working in the entertainment, nightlife industry, where sometimes you're being marketed so much trash, basically, so much lower vibration. So at home, like I'm never listening to trap music. I don't even know. I will never listen to a trap, y'all. It's like exactly, it's a trap. It's a trap music. So I would never listen to that at home, because I'm not gonna wake up talking about guns, robbing, objectifying women. I'm not gonna wake up to that. Yes, if we're going out and that's just what I'm around, and so even then, I can still process it differently. I'm like, I know it's a joke, we're talking, but it's not a serious thing that I've like paralleled my life to. Instead I'm listening to Tony, what's her name? Tony Jones. I love me some Tony Jones. Shout out to Tony Jones, talking about, your energy power and your flow power and loving yourself and taking up space and all those beautiful concepts. So I think like you said, like we're both saying, is like setting the intention to make sure that you're putting it in that way, so it's not just like about, it's like, because physical, mental, spiritual, it's being holistic, right? Exactly. So you want to just make sure you're just feeding your full circle And, being able to have your best energy, because there will be things that come for it. It is a balance. There is negative energy, right? There is a negative. There is whatever you want to call it, the devil, negative energy, the yang.
Yes.
It is that force,
Yes.
and you do have to have a balance, right? But we want to make sure it is balanced, and you're not being consumed with one versus the other. So
and ultimately, whatever you give your attention to is what's going to continue to persist.
I shaded
and so
that.
what you resist, you're giving your attention to whatever it is that you're resisting as well. So that's going to continue to persist. So if you're trying to resist eating a whole bunch of junk food, you're probably going to eat a whole bunch of junk food still. So if your goal is to actually focus on, but your goal is to focus on eating more vegetables and drinking more water, then you're actually going to eat more vegetables and drink more water. You see, it's more so, it's literally what your attention is going towards.
Exactly.
So I think definitely, like you said, making sure that on the physical side, you're keeping yourself physically active, of course, intaking all of the higher vibrational foods, so getting back into the vibrational frequency of things. Can
you break that down for them? What does it mean to be a higher vibrational food?
That's exactly what I was going to tell you.
Let's talk about it.
For sure. So if you guys go back to I don't know, maybe the 9th grade,
that little
science,
chart,
that little, the
diagram,
consumers, the flow of energy chart, I'm going to call it. I forgot the actual name for it, but basically it's the transference of energy. And it starts off with your producers, then you have your consumers, then you have your secondary consumers, and you have your tertiary consumers, and you have your quaternary consumers, which is 4, and then you have your decomposers, right? And then it goes back into the producers. And so basically the producers being the plants. The plants produce the energy because they literally absorb it from the sun. Photosynthesis is the process of producing energy from light. That is
wow. That's deep.
Yeah, it's literally that. So God is pretty awesome.
Right.
Shout out to you. And if we got closer to the actual source of the energy, we'd have more energy inside of ourselves. And so when we say that energy can't necessarily be created or destroyed, it's true. You're transferring energy. So if you're going to the source, which is the producers or whatever, the plants, you're going to get the most light source, the most energy, if you will. If you go to a chicken, which still eats corn, which is a plant, you may not get as much of that. And then if you get to I don't know, what eats chickens?
Like a deer.
A deer,
does deer eat? No, deer eats great. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's okay.
I don't know.
A carnivorous
we
animal.
Don't eat carnivorous
right. If you get
animals,
to a carnivorous animal who eats another animal who eats the plants, then you're still breaking it down. So it's basically, we're not getting into cannibalism because that's foolishness. But
it is.
Once you get to that point,
once you're getting to the more complex. Yeah, that's what they say.
Away.
Yeah, you're getting
the furthest away from the source of energy. And so that's basically my point is
and
it
the
goes
more
down
other
by
energies
percentage.
you're allowing in yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't even talk about the traumas that those animals are going through, to get to you, so absorbing all of that.
Just this last little bit about the transference of energy is it starts at 100% with the producers and it goes down by 10% each time.
Okay.
So by the time it gets to you, you're most likely only getting 50% of that energy.
Okay.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. That's a great, that's the breakdown.
Yeah. So if you're a vegan, then you're probably getting about
a healthy vegan.
Right. If you're a healthy vegan, because then there's the raw food diet. There's the people who are basically starchitarians, as my mother would call them, because literally all they eat is bread, chips, pasta, and rice. And then they blow up and they wonder what happened. They stopped eating meat that was supposed to be their saving grace. No, that's not it. The plan is to be balanced in all ways. And with all of this new vegan food and meat alternatives that are coming out, I know we are very excited as the vegan culture and community, but baby, all that processed food and all that processed
it's still processing,
soy
right? It's still processed.
It is not the 100% source that we thought we were getting, okay? We're still going through a process. And so with technology, the consumers have become machines. They've become additives. They've become preservatives. And so by the time you actually get to the consumption of the food, you're still not getting the 100% nutrients and power, energy that you ultimately desire and deserve to get, and that you actually need to be able to break down the food, which is like the concept of breakfast is like one of the biggest farces and scams and fuck ups in the nutritional industry, unfortunately. That and the food pyramid, but we don't have to get into all of that right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I guess we'll just a little, because breakfast is just breaking your fast.
Right.
So whenever you're breaking your fast, as long as that's the I think that's more where the importance is of what you eat in that moment to break your fast,
not
how you break your fast, but not when
it's
you
not
eat
a time of day. It's more so what you're eating and the types of foods that they have marketed are sugary
is a sham. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
foods that are just turned into sugar. And if you know anything, you can only... So not if you know anything, but there are only certain types of sugar that can actually be used directly as fuel in the body. And these complex...
No, because a lot of people don't know that.
No, but seriously, and a lot of the sugars that we're receiving are turning into complex carbs or whatever that are not actually being able to be broken down in our bodies, and they're adding on to fat chains and creating fat cells instead. So the sugars that we actually need to be ingesting in the mornings are the fruit-based sugars, the natural fructose that we actually need to be able to process the other foods that we take in throughout the rest of the day. That's literally why breakfast is the most important meal of the day, because what you ingest, when you break that fast, is going to dictate the rest of your digestion for the rest of the day. So if you wake up eating sausage, eggs, and pancakes every day, you are going to be bloated and sluggish and tired the entire day. Understand that.
Sausage, eggs, and the pancakes.
And then
pancakes are good.
I love pancakes. I'm not even saying there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but we just want to give you the information.
We just want you to know that if you want to have the most energy, you're going to have to feed yourself the most energy, period.
Right.
Ultimately, that's that. And so that's like the physical energy part.
Right,
you got to be physically active. You got to keep that up, because being physically active release endorphins.
Exactly.
It's literally a chemical reaction that happens in your body that allows you to feel happier. And when you feel happier, you're exuding more positive energy, if you will. When people say, oh, you're radiating. Oh, you have such good energy.
Exactly.
Oh, I just love being around you. People that work out a lot usually have a lot of friends.
They do, and just a healthier lifestyle in general, because like we said, once you consistently feed into one part, it's holistic, right? So you're naturally, because I love, like, when I go to the gym, I'll just do different things. I'll be like, I just do everything, like, God loves me, one, God loves me, two, just like,
this is why I love her. She's so cute.
No, I really do those things because I want to, like, intentionally, because sometimes we think of working out as like, oh, it's so dreadful, I got to go to the gym, like, but oh my God, thank God I have this body. Amen. That I can lift these weights with, that I can run with, I can feel my heart, connecting. I have these lungs to pump the air, like just connecting to your whole body, feeling muscles that you haven't felt before. Even the soreness, like after, it's like, oh wow, like
that's
so
weakness leaving the body.
Exactly. No, serious weakness leaving the body.
Sore muscles, that means you tore down some muscle fibers. You
to build it back.
So to make it stronger.
It's all the same. And in each one of those moments, you can think about the same thing. I remember even one time somebody was like, when you drink water, think of the holy water. Tap in, bring that water, the good vibes.
This is the most hydrating water that I have ever had.
Pour it into yourself. I am so grateful to this. So I know, we a little hippie-ish over here, but we're serious when we say that, whatever you put your energy towards is what you manifest. So if you're doing the opposite every day, if you're sitting saying, oh, my life is so hard, so many things are going wrong for me, there's so many things I want to improve. Like if you're doing my back hurts, my thigh hurts, I want to lose 15 pounds. Like if that's, like she said, I don't want to eat this. Like if you're focusing on those negative things, that's what you're going to continue to reciprocate in your life. That's what you're going to continue to see happening around you. So you have to change the narrative for yourself.
Exactly. And so that was what I was going to say. That's the mental aspect of it, is literally the mental and the verbal, or the mental comes from the verbal.
Right.
Whether that's inside of your head or actually coming out of your mouth, or, whatever. You have to speak that into existence. Like, word sound power is real, baby.
It is.
Words themselves cast spells. When you be writing
spelling,
stuff down,
like you're casting a spell.
So make sure that what you are saying is going to speak into your future. That's what we talk about when we're talking about energy budgets. What are you putting your energy into?
Right.
Where is that actually multiplying, or is it going to be
is it depleting? Right. Is
exactly.
it depleting?
Are you wasting your energy? Are you investing it in something that is going to
what conversations are you having on a day-to-day? What, like we said before, what music are you listening to? I love what I don't know if you guys ever read, it's called The Four Agreements. It's such a great book, and they talk about casting spells, you know, what you like, having your word be so impeccable, you know, not speaking negative about other people. And this is no one's perfect, right? We all have those moments. We all have our life, but I guess it's about the premise. Like, what's your, in the grand scope of things, you know, what are you focusing on? That, you know, what are you speaking?
What makes you you?
What makes you you?
Ultimately,
right.
Like, do you see yourself as a genuinely positive person?
Right.
Like,
and there's tests you can take. Test yourself. Go on the internet, type in self-esteem test, positivity test, and it'll give you questions that you can check off, and then check yourself after, like, oh wow, maybe I'm not so optimistic, maybe I'm not so positive, and then switching that narrative for yourself. You know,
absolutely making sure that you are, like we said, putting your energy in the right accounts.
Right.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
Don't be just doling it out there to those that do not
some in the savings.
Deserve it. Absolutely. Well, so like that's interesting because I've heard someone say that the preservation of energy is not really a thing.
Right.
Because it's going to continue to cycle.
Right.
And so I personally don't know how I feel about that, because I do think that you do need to reserve some energy for yourself.
Right.
Now, whether or not that's actually just keeping energy from actually flowing, or it's just flowing in a different way.
I think it may be flowing in a different way. That's what I would say. Because, I mean, I think as long as you're recharging, so maybe you're not preserving it, but you're maybe recharging your energy.
Okay.
Is that a better way to put it?
Sure,
so, because you put out, you pull back because you have to recharge it, just like your phone, right? Your iPhone. So we're using it. Then we do have to plug it up at some point. So I guess when you are taking that moment, that's kind of like your mindfulness. That's your meditation. So you are, now you're replenishing, yourself.
Yeah, I get that. I do.
I can say it. I would see it like
that. Just playing the devil's advocate. Right. I personally don't think that there's a problem with.
I know you don't. I know she don't think there's a problem with preserving.
Being a little stingy with your energetic budget.
That's what my mom always says. She says I'm not an introvert, but what is it, like a extroverted introvert, or omnivert, where you definitely have to have a balance of both, and just, because I will get depleted. Like, it's oh my God, everybody's great. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, you can, like I said with the cup reference, you can drain your own cup out. You can drain your own energy. So you have to be able to, be mindful and sit back and like, okay, so where are you going to retrieve your energy from? I love moon gazing these days and just, just feeling the force of nature's grounding yourself, going outside, touching the earth, touching, being mindful. Oh my God, there's trees. Like that stuff. I sound so fluid.
You sound like yourself.
It.
You are. It's fine.
Feeling the trees.
We are
literally.
Modern day hippies, for sure.
You can go outside and put your feet in the ground and just be there. Be
sunbathing. Literally recharging.
Sunbathing, recharging. So
if y'all know, we are crystals. I don't know if y'all know.
But. Right. It's the same thing. Moon gazing, recharging. So literally. all like God gave us these things. So we can have them to recharge. Like, don't disconnect yourself from your environment, basically.
Exactly.
You always can find a space, even if you're in like New York City and it's just bricks all around you. You have the moon. Open it up at night, look up, take that moment. Thank you, God, for this beautiful moon. Thank you, God, for this existence. Boom. Like, even just something as simple as that. That's a recharging moment.
Unplug from mainstream media, unplugging from all of these different sources that actually do pull energy out of you. Observing how you feel when you're scrolling on social media. Observing how you feel when you're watching certain shows. Observing how you feel when you're eating.
Shout out to Big Sean.
Exactly. Disconnect to reconnect. Reconnect to nature.
Right.
Reconnect to yourself. Reconnect to the source. Ultimately, that is what that is going to all do for you.
Yes.
And
water,
you will feel
taking a shower. Recharged. That's another. Like, you have all these different elements, so water, taking showers, being intentional about, wiping it off of yourself, wiping the day off of yourself, cleansing it. So, all
of that. These are all different ways that we definitely maintain our energy and make sure that it is A1.
A1.
And it's not always the easiest thing.
It's not. We from the city too. We get it. We get it. You get caught up in the day to day, but that's why it's even more important to make sure you're taking the time to recharge and replug.
To get up, walk around, be physically active.
Happen.
It is.
Yeah,
like we don't want to
the
end
energy's
up like
going
those
somewhere, right?
Wall-E.
The energy's going
like
somewhere.
If you think of a wall, they have wired energy into this building, right? And there are outlets all over the building. Granted, nothing may be plugged into the outlet, but the energy is still there flowing and waiting. It's just waiting for something to plug in for it to give it its power.
Absolutely.
The energy is still there. So I think that might be what that, I don't know who it was. I forgot who said it. But that's probably what they were saying is like the energy is still flowing.
Right.
You just haven't plugged anything into it yet.
And that's fine. And that's the truth. Yes.
That's perfectly fine. You don't always need to be plugged into anything because ultimately you can sit there and vibrate with yourself. And
but and then also I guess just to that same notion of holding in the negative energy, right? And that's going to multiply too. And I feel like that's why we have such a pandemic of disease and you literally disease just means dis-ease, like you're not at ease. So, make sure you're putting yourself at ease. You don't want your cells to turn against yourself and turn against each other and get into that flow. We have to, as a people, we have to heal ourselves and we have to release and we have to let go and let it go and let it flow. That is very, very true because we don't want to, become our own negative force, and
absolutely. And I think, be like the water ultimately. That'll help you stay as positive or have the most elevated frequency, if you will, because that's all people are talking about when they say you have positive energy, is that just you are vibrating at a more elevated frequency, and so you are on the positive side of zero. So that's what that is. You have positive energy,
exactly.
And when you're vibrating at a lower frequency, you are on the negative side of zero. It's not about a good or a bad. It just is what it is. And once you're able to realize that, you can be like water. Water is the most fluid and flexible. It takes on the form of any container.
Hold on to anything.
Right. It takes on the form of any container, yet it stays itself. It stays true to itself. And it's always H2O, whether or not it's ice, whether it's water vapor, or whether it is just water running down.
And it can flow in and out,
exactly.
Be flexible,
can corrode
right?
rocks, and it can clean a
powerful.
baby gently.
It's powerful.
Yes.
We need it,
Absolutely, absolutely. So be like water. Ultimately, you can be peaceful if you like water.
Yes, beautiful.
Or positive, not necessarily peaceful, because we're not always talking about peaceful. I'm just saying, peace is not always necessary. You could positively
knock somebody out too, like, and don't seriously, don't be afraid to release it, and that just comes with, in another form of just like crying, don't be afraid, don't hold it in. So that's what I mean by like, because it's gonna manifest in another way, so just, it's okay to let it out, let it flow, and then release. It's a cycle. We're all gonna go through things that make us feel upset and that make us feel quote unquote negative, and don't beat yourself up about it. Be mindful of it, take it in, take your time to go through that emotion, and then, like she said, like water, just release it. And
flow. Be still if you need to be, move if you need to be, be light if you need to be heavy if you need to be, but don't be stagnant.
Don't be stagnant, right? Don't stay there. Yeah.
Ultimately, because stagnation is the cousin to death.
No, it is, and exactly, and disease, death and disease.
Oh, that's stagnation leads to disease. Yeah, period. Point.
Exactly.
For
so
sure.
we want everybody. We want to be healthy. We want y'all to be healthy.
Yeah.
We want to change some of these cycles. We want to unteach ourselves some of these notions. So yeah, y'all, we got this.
We do. We definitely do. We are actively practicing radical self-love and self-care. And when I say radical, I mean that means saying no to regular conventional ideals that keep you from feeling like you can say yes to yourself.
You can, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
I love
being
that.
Radical.
On that note, I think that this has been another episode of Lotus Tea Talk, and we really hope that you enjoyed sipping this tea with us. Cheers. And before we let you go, we want to leave you with this petal of inspiration. Yes. Your energy is a universal currency. Spend it well and invest it wisely. Period. Yes. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode. We just love talking with you all, and we hope you all will see you next time.
Peace.
Mwah.